Okay, it says we're live.
We're live.
Moments to.
Are you here, Tom?
Oh, this is so weird. My comments just disappeared.
I see it. The choice is up to you. Choose
I know.
wisely.
My chat just went black.
Oh no, I can see you.
No, my chat. Okay, now this is weird. My chat went black. Everything that was originally in there with us saying hi to Tom and talking is all completely gone. And the first thing that just popped up was Tom putting an LOL in there.
Well, I can.
I don't know what StreamYard's doing.
Yeah.
StreamYard, this is ridiculous. But okay, hopefully, if something goes wonky with the chat, I'll ask you if you can keep. Okay, now we can talk in private, Nancy. Ha 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 ha. But that's so weird. The minute I hit the live stream, it completely erased everything in chat.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah, I'm not keeping my paid StreamYard, unfortunately, but I think that might be a good thing if this is what's going to be happening. Yeah. So, digressing. Hello, everybody that is going to be joining us and watching on playback. Thank you. And as you can hear, our show is being sung into existence today by the beautiful Agador. So much love to Agador and his beautiful music. And hello, Rain, my dear. Says hi, ladies and Tom. Time to feed the puppies. We don't want the hooligans to get all crazy and hungry. What they call it? We don't want the hooligans to get hangry when you get hungry. Yes. And so Karen is here. Sorry.
Hey, Karen.
Hi, Karen. You should see. I don't know if anyone saw the show with her and Ange a little while ago. But Karen's got these little spider headband on, like little spider antenna. They're very cute.
Karen, I was lurking.
Nancy
I saw your spiders.
Ooh.
And Ange had her hair down. She looked so sweet. She looked like a little girl.
I know, it's hard to believe. Ange is has two grown boys. Wow, Ange, I'll have what she's having. Your daily routine. And just for today's show, Nancy has sprouted some feathers.
I do. I thought in reading about the Morrigan, I thought she is so powerful. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to honor her by wearing some feathers.
And for me today, I'm just going to embiggen myself for a second. I made this. Okay. It's getting tighter now because as I've gotten older, I've gotten heavier. But I originally made this when I started learning how to bead. And this is a Triskelion. And for me, it always represented like maiden, mother, and crone. So it's a Celtic symbol. And the beads that I used was like, a pearl. It's an artificial pearl, but it is a Swarovski pearl, a Swarovski bead. And I think the black, it's kind of hard to see, but is, I believe, an obsidian or a jet. And so the triple colors of the goddess. And also later on with the Celtic mythology, the white for the maiden, the red for the mother, and the black for the crone. And then they associate with those with, the triple goddess that is the Morrigan. She is the triple goddess. And in stories, she is, Morrigan herself and her two other sisters that make up the Morrigan. So Nancy and I were like, this is a little confusing. Yes. Because what happens is,
there's so many facets, I mean, I'm very intrigued by her since I have been reading.
Hi, Brenda.
I have this book on the Morrigan that I've had a while, and I must admit I hadn't read it. So I was, going over it, and it's fascinating.
Well, boy, chat is jumping. So I know I have my eye now on that book if I decide to work with the Morrigan. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the show today on the Morrigans, because she's kind of been in the periphery now for the past couple months. And with everything that's going on personally in my life, it feels very empowering to maybe work with her. And so I've been drawn to maybe visiting with her for a bit. And Rain says, I'm seeing that you sprouted wings, Nancy. Well done.
I did.
And but she's not going to fly away, though. She's going to stay here with us. She might shapeshift because Morrigan is a shapeshifter. He's like, Mommy,
what are you doing?
And a little quick shout out, Rain is going to be joining Nancy and I for some Halloween craft fun on Sunday, October 16th for our Get Your Craft Done. And she's going to be coming by and showing us some fun little Halloween crafts that you can create, especially if you have little ones. So Karen, you may want to watch that with the kids. Could be a lot of fun for the holidays. Yeah. So just wanted to do that little plug. And Tom says, I thought Nancy was just becoming her true form.
Yes,
a hag raven? Hey. Hags are powerful is another word for crone, and sometimes it gets used in a negative tone manner, but it's also a word of power, you know.
Oh,
so
yes, I'm embracing that power, let me tell you.
Yeah,
I love being a crone. I really do. I mean, it's something to look forward to. I mean, really. Mm-hmm. You can say exactly what you think. You can do exactly what you want.
Hi, Shelby. Yep. Every time I think, no, I got that song.
Somebody's knocking at my door. Can you hold on just a second?
Sure.
I'll be right back.
Somebody's knocking at the door. Somebody's ringing the. Okay, everyone start marking your bingo boards. But yeah.
Hello.
Ding dong. It's the Avon lady. Hello, Brenda. And just here. Tom was early, yes. Amazing. I joked during your show, Ange, that he should call his channel Past, Present, and Future Ritual, because you never know which one he's going to be popping into. Yeah. And so, but everybody, knows that Nancy's in North Carolina, and they're still doing the cleanup, and neighbors are coming by and dropping off like food and donations. Nancy got a beautiful quilt from a woman that was going down the street handing out quilts to people. So wonderful community going on there in North Carolina. And hello, Nathan. The important shows, huh, Tom? Oh, thanks, Melly. Yeah, it used to hang a lot lower when my neck wasn't so thick. But I've always been drawn to both the Celtic and the native spirituality, and sometimes I go back and forth. I got that Lenny Kravitz song tune. I want to get away. I want to fly away. So catching up here. So Nathan, you said you can talk to crows. I'll save that to show that with Nancy. So
I am.
There
that was a friend bringing me some farm fresh eggs.
There you go. I was telling everybody in chat that because of being in North Carolina, people have been going down, handing out quilts and giving donations and helping each other out. So it's been very nice.
Oh, I have to show you all the picture of someone brought by a quilt for me.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just show you a picture of it. I took a picture so I could.
And Ange says, Nancy, you embody and wear the crone very well. Powerful.
Well, thank you. Let me see. What did I do with my? Wait a second.
I used to have a ton of feathers, but I do have a crow painting on my wall. So
I don't know. Let's see. Maybe you can see it.
Here, let me put you on the big screen. And nope, hold on a second. Da, 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 da. And one more. There we go.
Isn't that gorgeous? And it's so beautiful. I just was really touched, and they had a wheelbarrow full of them, and they gave me this one, and they gave one to my son and daughter-in-law that were working in the shop cleaning it up, and one to my other son. And then they took the wheelbarrow and headed down the West End Circle and handed them out to everybody.
Very nice.
Isn't that wonderful?
Mm-hmm. And so
Oh, it's gorgeous, Ange. It is absolutely gorgeous. The stitching, oh my goodness. It's just, I don't know, it took somebody forever to make it.
Shelby says it's pretty, and Melly says, I've been finding feathers daily. Found a pile yesterday and day before too. I had so many, I gave them to a Native American friend up here to say, would you like these for, doing work with the kids? Because sometimes she works with because she's with Tuscarora Nation, and they try to keep teaching the younger generation the old ways, the traditions and things. Mm-hmm. And so I had a whole bunch of feathers, and I gave them all pretty much to her and a lot of things. So in case that she ever needed those. Someone made me a quilt for my wedding. I still have it. Absolutely love it.
Oh,
beautiful, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And Viviani just joined us. Hello, Viviani.
Hi, Viviani.
And I wanted to share something. One of our new subscribers that he likes to hang out with us, Nathan, says, I can talk to crows.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. You know what I did, Nathan? I got one of those crow collars. This has been, oh gosh, maybe 8 years ago. And you blow on it and it calls crows. Well, I was on our front deck and it's covered. And we have a lot of crows here. And I started blowing the crow collar, or whatever you call them, I don't know. And they were frantic because they were trying to find this new crow that was in their territory. I mean, they were flying every which way and, talking to each other and everything. And of course, they couldn't see me. And it was hilarious. I mean, I finally stopped because, they were very upset. But they're so smart, and they have this whole communication. Like when I would take food out and put it out for them in the early mornings, there was a certain call. And when I would come out, there was a certain call that they did for me because they knew I fed them. Mm-hmm. But when my husband went out, there was a different call for him. It sounded different because mm-hmm. he didn't.
Crows are intelligent,
but mm-hmm. I just love them.
Yes, they're wonderful, and we used to have a pet crow that would come by when I worked at the SPCA when I was younger in my teens, and we would have a popcorn stand, and we would sell popcorn and Loganberry drink, and he would come, jump on our counter, we give him some popcorn, he'd fly off, and sometimes we pet him on the head, and so they can be very, very sweet. And we have a special visitor today. Everybody we love is special in chat.
Are you talking about Rochelle?
I think I am. Hello, Rochelle. If anybody doesn't know, Rochelle is Amethyst Ascension Tarot and Astrology. And she just seems like everything on her channel. Deck reviews.
And her sacred space is mm-hmm. exquisite.
It is. It's beautiful.
Rochelle, you and your husband just really did a most excellent job on that.
And what was it that just recently? Oh, Rochelle, I just loved that witch's box that you just recently received. It just looks so yummy. The way they print it up, and it looks like mm-hmm. the text that you can put into a book of shadows. Something, it just was, yeah. I love watching. That's how I live through people. I watch what they did, and I'm like, oh, how pretty. So like when Nancy shares her goddess, or people share their witch box. I just absolutely love. And there's a young lady, just before I forget, her name is Alwyn. What's her last name? Oh, goodness gracious. I'm forgetting Alwyn's last name. Alwyn. She's a young lady. She's in England. And she's with the Fae, and her setup, her teas, her fairy teas.
Alwyn Oak.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful channel.
And
Rochelle,
she's a
I wish
sweetheart.
that I had gotten in on your group with the past life,
Me too.
Many Simpson's past life oracle. I have that, and I really haven't explored it like I should. But anyhow, I've
Aw,
been watching your channel. I've
thank you, babe.
enjoyed you going over all of that. I really have.
And Rochelle, not putting you on the spot, but if you would ever like to join Nancy and I, because you have some beautiful decks from what I've seen and working with the witches boxes and talking about sacred space and magic. Would love to have you if you ever wanted to have a specific goddess you want to discuss or special divine feminine ritual that you love to incorporate that you feel can be publicly shared. Just let Nancy, I know we would love to have you. Garnet is here. Hello, Garnet.
Garnet.
And she's like, "Oh, ladies, you're making me blush." And I love that purple hair. That's what this used to be. It used to be that purple, but yep. One of these days I'll have the extra for the the touch up. So wow, just powering through. Okay, I love Alwyn. I know who you're talking about. And she also talks about mental health as well occasionally. Her depression and her therapist and how she feels so much better afterwards. And she just released a video. Was it yesterday or the day before? We watched it yesterday. And she was going through the woods and she was looking for all the little toadstools.
Yes.
And she has this thing called a fairy cam. And I guess it's like a super high like focus on her iPhone to make it look like there's like a little fairy walking through the moss and the leaves and everything. I mean, she's just wonderful. She really is.
I like it when she mixes her teas.
And they turn all the different colors,
really
purples
like
and blues and
Oh,
Rochelle
thank you, Rochelle.
She does. I can't wait till we get our new home, our new space where I can be able to do that. Oh, she says sounds good, so I'll be in touch. Right. Yep, she posted one yesterday. Yeah, she called herself the little swamp witch. It was so cute, but where she went, it was just so lovely. It's so peaceful, and she has a kitty named Charlie. Oh, and there's another girl y'all have to check out. Shan subscribed to her. She makes her own costumes, and she just did one that's called Owlchemy. Owl the alchemist. Oh, it's the costume is Juniper the alchemist. I can't remember her name right now, but if you put Juniper and you put alchemist, this girl knows how to do the mechanics, and she crafts where she pulls the string, wings come up, her ears move. They're like, I mean, it's just phenomenal. This takes cosplay just beyond. It's not even really cosplay to me. It's just it's like shapeshift. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's amazing. So I'll try to remember and add that to the description afterwards. But she's absolutely wonderful, and Shan loved her. She was like, "Oh, honey, you got to see this." So,
I have a question. I want to know if anybody in the chat works with the Morrigan.
I was wondering because Rochelle popped in, and Rochelle, I don't know if she is maybe one of the goddesses that you work with. Because we had Bobby come in and shared about Hecate. He works with her. And so I'm curious if anybody does, because for me, the Morrigan really isn't faint of heart. I've heard of her since I was younger. And for me, goddesses about war and death and carrion and gore and stuff, to me, it has always been a shut off. It's always made me feel very uncomfortable. I've always been very super sensitive to imagery and suggestion and things like that growing up in nightmares. So for me, I always kind of stayed away from those type of goddesses to look at. But lately, with everything going on personally, it just feels like, I don't know if she's calling to me or if my guides are gently pushing me to say, hey, you can work with her. And for the past couple months, she's been kind of circling around. And I asked Nancy, would you like to do a show on her? And she says, oh,
Mhm.
definitely. You had that amazing book. Um, and I'm going to look to see here. Shelby says, I honor her, but I never really work with
Mhm.
her. No, I don't. However, I was drawn to Danu first. Yes, Rochelle. Danu and the Tuade and the Tuade, and I think they are very closely related. Yes, according to
Well,
this
in the
book,
book that
yes.
I'm reading, it talks about their sisters.
Hmm.
So I don't, I don't
There,
know, but
there's a little bit of a confusion about
hmm
the aspects of one. Those are her aspects. Are they the same person? Are they
hmm
separate entities or deities? Excuse me. And I think that just like any spiritual practice, I think that might vary per person and
hmm
how spirit or that goddess feels that would be best for them to work with that person. I can't talk right today. It's like I know what I want to say, and I'm trying to put that into words. I have actually been drawn to the Morrigan. She has been popping up everywhere in front of me for a little over a month. Wow, now that's Melly. um
yeah.
I look up to goddesses who are associated with the night or the moon or the stars.
Well, what the
And
say? Look who
who
popped
the
in.
Fae? Who the Fae let her in? What the Fae? Who the Fae? Where the Fae? Here's
Hey,
the
Ginger.
Fae. Morgan Le Fay
Mwah.
is mentioned in here too, my dear. So, and she's also been associated with Bridget. Yet I thought Danu was perhaps her mother, according to the book that I have. And I think we can, kind of back up just here really quick. Is that um, the Celtic people, a lot of the times pre-Christianity, there was very little written down. um, those their stories, their histories were actually taught, oral traditions, and
Mhm.
so the Druids played a strong part of that because they had to learn the stories, they had to learn the histories, they had to learn everything and be able to retain and memorize that. So nothing was ever written down, and I think that was because they felt like if something was written down that could take away a power or something, or someone could take and have power over. So they were very much intent on keeping it an oral tradition. And so once Christianity, kind of moved in and took over, um, some that did start talking about the stories or that had been written that came into their periphery, they rewrote, these Irish monks rewrote them from a Christian perspective, like a literal perspective. A lot of people say they think that these myths are actually true tales, but the way they were written is more of a oh, what's the word that you use? It's like a metaphor and an allegory. And so, depending on who was writing, what time frame it came from, who the original person that they were able to get that information from, it there's a whole bit of a mix. It gets a little confusing.
Mhm.
So Danu was considered, her mother. Danu was considered sometimes part of the Morrigan herself, and so it's really from person to person who wrote. And Shenanigans says, I always felt called to the ways of the Druids. Yes, because a lot of people think all the Druids were was about sacrificing people and animals and doing dark magic. Well, people don't realize the Druids were the people that the kings and the queens and the warriors would go to for advice. They were advisors. There was a section that were the storytellers, the bards, like our Karen, Bard of Cards.
Mhm.
Those were the stories that were handed down in retelling of stories and in poems. Nope, out, out, out. So, and then I can't remember specifically, but because I know there were the bards, the ovates, the druids. So it was very always a connection to the land, magic, mystery. Everything was actually seen. There was, and I remember reading this book that until the Romans conquered them, they really didn't use any imagery for their gods or goddesses. For the early Celts, the land formations, like the mountains, were considered the paps or the nipples or the breasts of the mother goddess. And so land formations were given names, and there was no form of visual idolatry, involved. And I'm hoping I'm not going off too far on a tangent here. Um, Let me just look at chat here. And was there anything you wanted to add while I'm just checking chat, Nancy?
Well, I wanted to read something at the beginning of this book. I thought it was very, very interesting. Again, this is the book. If you're interested in getting it, I would go to used bookstores online first. Like I use thriftbooks.com. And that's where I got this book, and for about half the price. Of course, you never know what they've got in stock. But anyhow, this chapter is meeting the Morrigan, and it says she is the spirit of fury and peace, power and destruction, joy and terror. She is warrior, queen, death omen, mother, murderer, lover, spy, conspirator, fairy, shapeshifter, healer, and sometimes the living earth herself or itself. A captivating contradiction, a demonic female who both haunts and heals, benevolent in one moment, ghastly in the next, and kind the moment after that. Meet the Morrigan. And she goes on and she says, few goddesses attract as much reverence and notoriety as the Morrigan. Her earliest references describe a shrieking, cursing being who laughs at misery, one sometimes aligned with demonic of the Christian hell. Medieval writers and contemporary bloggers alike describe a treacherous goddess. Yet while scrolling social media or sharing mead around festival bonfires, I read and heard stories of how the goddess with the warning label changed their lives for the better. I wondered how a goddess known for terror could be so restorative. Eventually, I would understand. And she goes on and she talks about, in the myths, the Tour de Danann arriving on ships from the sky, granting the country great gifts of civilization. The Morrigan and her sisters, Bab and Macha, were among them. The Tour de completed the creation of the country before they were conquered by the sons of Mil, or Million, whom the myths describe as ancestors of the Celtic Irish. After this defeat, the Tour de retreated underground into the She mounds, also called fairy mounds. The Tour de may have been an indigenous Irish people, mythological over the centuries, who were replaced by or assimilated into groups who later arrived in Ireland. And it goes on about her, and it talks about, her sisters. And they had the sisters are Bab and Macha, and she has several names: Morrigan, Anu, Danu. I was wrong about saying she was a sister. The Macha and the other one were the sisters.
The Macha, yeah.
But and then also, Morgan Le Fay is the Christianized. They kind of realized how important she was, and they incorporated her into the church so that people would worship her in the church rather than in pagan.
Well, Morgan Le Fay is actually, that's interesting because I was taught to believe that Morgan Le Fay was part of the paganhood, the priestesses of she was the Avalon, and that Morgan Le Fay was still considered an evil sorceress. She was an evil witch, and she was the her brother's nemesis. So Morgan Le Fay ended up taking the brunt again because she was a strong, powerful female, and a lot of times they tried to eradicate her and put her down as lower. And we've been having some interesting conversation here. Melly says, I almost bought that exact book yesterday, she said. And now
Well,
she has to. Nancy made me do it.
I wanted to read one more thing because I think this is important. It says the Morrigan is many things, but above all, she walks between the worlds of tangible and ill-defined. A goddess of the river ford, she is the place where the improbable meets the possible. Just as the rushing waters surrounding a great ford are terrifying, so is she sometimes. But just as she stands in the ford, connecting the dangerous with the safe, she crosses the gap between the old and the new reality. We will not get through these lives of ours without facing the unknown and risking losing parts of ourselves in the process. Perhaps this is why she is the queen of nightmares. Just as bad dreams help us process trauma, stress, and confusing information, the Morrigan helps us navigate that which is beyond our ability to shape, control, or understand. And that's powerful.
Wow.
I mean,
that pretty much says my
I
book.
was like, whoa, when I read that,
So
I
we
mean,
have
that's amazing.
We have somebody new. Cassie T is here. Hello, Cassie.
Hi, Cassie.
We are talking. This is the Divine Feminine. It says, on the thumbnail, we're talking about the Morrigan. She's a Celtic warrior goddess. And that's who Nancy and I are discussing today on our show. And so let me, because people were like, I know Rochelle was making comments, seemed similar, made me think of Persephone in a way. So a lot of these, that's the thing with, when it comes to the goddesses and the gods, is that so many mythologies you see, it's like when one tribe, not one tribe, when one nation like overtakes another, the ones who are taken over assimilate the the group that took over, the armies or whatever. They took on their culture, so they changed from one, and they'll go, well, okay, well, we'll adopt ours and we'll call them after yours, and then another one will change, but oh, that's like ours, but this is what we call them. So sometimes for me, I think it's easier for me to kind of think of some of these gods and goddesses kind of like an archetype, an energy that we are all interconnected with. And I think, and Heather, don't think too hard and too long, but no, I mean, the Morgans really got me thinking now, because it's all about, again, perception. It's, again, the oral traditions, the influence of Christianity. Really, when the Christianity, the Islam, and all of the patriarchal religions took over, so much of knowledge and stuff were burned or banned. And so a lot of the stories that are rewritten, it takes almost a lifetime of scholar study to be able to research and understand and grasp everything. So for me, it's all about the connection to, I think, the elementals of each of the goddesses or gods, their energy, what they stood for. And yes, many pantheons have similar gods and goddesses. Yes. And Tom says they are human archetypes, so they will be found in multiple mythologies by default, as well as what Heather said, the expansion of borders plays a part as well. You said that much more clearly, Tom.
Well, what? In this book, there is also a ritual that you can do if you want, if you want to call in the Morrigan. But there's a paragraph here. It says the Morrigan knocks. It says, I think this is a person, Karen Ward. I won't read all of it, but she says, I think she's much maligned. People think of her as a destroyer. One of the first myths that Irish children learn is she is the crow who sits on the hero's shoulder as he is dying. For me, the Morrigan is so much richer. She is about birth, death, and rebirth. I think where the Morrigan comes in for me is making friends with what needs to go. That can be an old habit, an old way of being. It could be clutter in the house. We have to trust that we can let go and that more will come. The Morrigan tells me when to ditch what I no longer need. She's regal in her queenly state, and that ferocity can be scary, but she shows me how to be in my full power.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
That's beautiful.
I love that as well. Yeah.
Um, and like here with my book, it says that, these stories were not recorded by the Irish pagans, but by their Christian descendants who left their own mark on the old myths, adding to the difficulties in understanding the Morrigan's complex nature. And for some people, these are just the same energy to some, just with a different name. But there are some people who work very closely with these energies and say, no, certain gods and goddesses are, even though they're very similar, they are very much their own conscious being.
Mhm.
They're very much alive. They're very much who they are. And again, and then you have the overlapping of what was mortal, what was immortal. And then of course, when you don't want to kind of go down that rabbit hole, but the understanding of a lot of our deities coming from your understanding of, or your belief in how the world of creation, because now very mainstream people are talking about star seeds and UFOs and
Mhm.
Anunnaki and the humans being mixed with possibly angel Nephilim, and so a lot of everything just all thrown into the mix, and you're really trying to find your way or your understanding, through this. And what I love about her, and it was so if I can just digress a little bit, I was sitting here yesterday, trying to figure out how to do a card reading, asking her if I'm meant to work with her, if she would be interested in working with me, or if my guides, is this what I'm supposed to do? And I'm looking around going, I don't have anything that is of her. I don't have a crow statue. I don't have crow feathers anymore. I have my deer skulls that I'm very connected to. And then I was just like, and then in my head was like, aren't I hanging on your wall? Did you not create me? All this whole time on my wall, I have a painting as called Flight. And I looked up and like, oh my God, that's right. There's the black wings, there's the bird eyes, there's the beak.
Mhm.
So I didn't need to have something bought. I created something that contained her energy or represented her energy. So, and it sits on my wall and overlooks me whenever I do my shows. So it's very interesting. And when I was starting to read about her, I had to grab a sheet of paper because I heard I am not to be something about I am not to be taken lightly, or to work with me is not to be taken lightly. Something very strong, like she's very, when you decide to work with this goddess, kind of like Kali, she's a form of, if you want to look at a comparison, she's very much similar to Kalima, or even the Valkyries, the goddesses, or the spirits that helped those who died on the battlefield to cross over into Valhalla. And it is about death and transformation, rebirth. We know that death doesn't always mean actually the physical death, that there's a rebirth. And like Nancy, you were saying in your book about the clutter, that's exactly what I'm going through right now. I'm
Mhm.
trying to get rid of the old to make room for the new. And that rebirth can take many forms, not just, the death as in, a mythology about an actual battlefield. But that, it could be applied to our lives in any ways, whether it's leaving relationships, having to take back our power to get us through any dark times that we're going through. And so she is a very profound, but yes, you must be ready if you choose to work with her.
Moon
Exactly.
um Moonfox Knight said, "How do you know when a god or goddess is calling to you?" And I found this because I had marked it. It says, "How to know if the Morrigan has called us." Recognizing a deity's call is a deeply personal experience. One person's call is not the call for someone else. For some, feeling inspired at a ritual honoring the Morrigan is one call. For others, it's reading the myths and finding themselves within them. It may be a longing in the heart, a tingling on the skin. For me, the gods have always manifested in dreams, as the Morrigan did prior to the Occupy Wall Street movement and Hurricane Sandy. For you, it could be something else altogether. My sense is that if you've picked up this book and read this far, you have already received a call from the Morrigan. Keep listening. So, I think if you're fascinated by a goddess and want to know more, or like I was called to work with Caradwin, and I just knew that I had to get closer to her, and I did, but then right now my goddess is Gaia, um, and I feel a very close connection to her. But I think the Morrigan is fascinating. But I have bought the book and I am reading it, but I am not called to work with her yet. I mean, maybe one day I will. But I think it's just do you think, Heather, it's like a fascination that you want to get closer?
Sometimes I think it's a fascination, but when it keeps coming around in subtle ways, like now the
Right.
author
I
in
mean, to
my book,
start with, it's a fascination. I mean,
uh,
where you.
well, for me, when I was in my 30s in Arizona, I was drawn to work with Morgan Le Fay because I knew that I had a past life on Avalon, and I was trying to connect. And when I saw that Morgan Le Fay was, connected to with the Morgan, and I saw that the death and the gore back then, that was too much for me. I'm like, no, I would just rather work with her in that aspect. And then we left, and life changed, and I no longer worked with her. I visited with some others, but now within the last couple years, I keep occasionally seeing her statue, thinking, "Oh, that's cool." And then within the last year or so, I started reading with people who had a lot of crows. Allison. I started, again, one of our stores. There were more her statues. There were more crows coming around. I'm like, okay, and it's just within, I think, the last few months, just especially doing the goddess, the divine feminine with you, that I started. She just kept coming like in the back of my mind. It wasn't me going, and then I was kept pulling quite often cards from the Colette Baron Reed, the Divine Feminine deck, which you
Mm-hmm.
have, and I pulled that a couple times for people, and I just started feeling a little bit drawn towards, because it was a different aspect now for me to look at. It wasn't like a lot of cards with the blood coming out of her mouth and her I mean, things like that are too much for my energy, for my comfort. And with hers, it was much more concerning about the magic, the power, working with the shadow aspect. And that's becoming so, it's been a very subtle, like a little trickle on a stream, to, a little
Mm-hmm.
creek, to a stream, to a river. And now it's starting to become more, and so that's it wasn't necessarily a fascination. I had an awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few years ago, I did a painting, and I was told that it was supposed to be named Moxa, which some people pronounce Maka. I've heard that it's pronounced Moxa. Um, they're like different, Babe and Mav and Moxa. And I'm looking at it going, but I don't work with them. But it was still that intensity of saying, no, this is
Mm-hmm.
what this needs to be named. I'm like, okay, maybe this is for somebody else. Who knows? Maybe I made it for myself for later on. So it's
Yeah.
always, just little signs. And just one of the things that I wanted to read really quick. Also,
Heather,
with
could
some,
you hold your book up? Some of the people want to see what
oh,
book you're using.
this came out in 2017. It's Stephanie Woodfield. It's Celtic lore and spellcraft of the Dark Goddess, invoking the Morrigan. And she shares some of the stories, like from the,
Mm-hmm.
it's for me, I need to talk with our friend Jackie a little bit more, Jackie's Crystal Moon, to help her have me pronounce certain Celtic or Gaelic words better. But she's featured in the Tanbo Kulan, which is the Calarate of Cooley, and a couple of other well-known Kukalan. She's been like a nemesis of Kukalan, and so there's those initial mythologies that I need to be read through. But then later on, she starts talking about the connections that she has with Naman or Namain, and then Danu and Anu. So I'm looking forward, to reading. And then there's also a channel on YouTube where there's a lady, I can't think of her name right now, but she works with the Morrigan. And she says, unfortunately, there's so many books out there with people writing their interpretation, and they're not even from Ireland. So for her, she goes, she strives to really recommend certain authors, or if people have questions about the Morrigan, to come to her. She goes, because I live in the land of where she is from, or where she has come from or emerged. So again, you just take a little bit, and try to feel what feels right and what resonates. And there's a hymn in here um, that she included called Lady Shadow, but well, it's called By Lady Shadow. It's called A Hymn to the Morrigan. And in this spelling, Morrigan, it can also be spelled with an H next to the G. So I wanted to share this, and then I'll check the chat. I know it's probably been jumping. It says, Hail and bless the great Morrigan. Hail and greetings to the crone. Hail and greetings to the queen of the night. Hail and all praise to the old and ancient one. Hail and praise to she who is magic. She is the fear that coils around the heart. She is the nightmare to those who do no wrong, the haunting of those who dare to cause harm. She is the prophetess of fates. She is the queen of fairies and of witches. She is death and a poet's inspiration. Hail and salute the great phantom queen. Hail and salute the Morrigan. She who is three yet one. She is the fury of battle. She is the sword of freedom. She is the crow and raven who flies overhead. Hail and bless the great Morrigan. A toast of ale, an offering of blood. Hail and bless the great Morrigan. So I just wanted to share some of what they've written in there.
You know what I would like to do? I have a deck that I just got that it's called the Obsidian Veil, and it is a deck. It's an oracle deck about goddesses and feminine, divine feminine archetypes, and this is in regard to this is not about the Morrigan, but it's in regard to the goddess that you work with. And I work with Gaia, and I had ordered this deck, and it came. The flood was on Friday when I was evacuated, and I was able to come back to my home. But on Tuesday, this deck arrived, and I shuffled it, and the first card that came out was Gaia. And I wanted to read to you what it says and how this connected to my situation. Is this okay, Heather? Mm-hmm. Is this too far out of left field, or?
No, go with what you're being, just go okay with what you're being drawn to.
This is the card, and it says on it, when my patience wears thin, the earth trembles and the storms rage. And I want to read to you what it says in the book. According to mythology, Gaia emerged at the beginning of time from the chaos, the primordial void. She is considered the personification of Earth itself. Gaia's story is deeply intertwined with the natural world, as she represents the sacredness and interconnectedness of all living things, highlighting the cyclical nature of life. She teaches us to honor and respect the earth. But when the respect is lost, or so does the balance, leading to destruction of brutal environmental force, decay, and deprivation. Gaia's story holds lessons of both creation and destruction, growth and decay. It represents the delicate balance between Gaia's unwavering patience and the growing weariness she experiences. It serves as a reminder that even the most nurturing and forgiving forces have their limits. Acknowledge the times when your own patience wears thin and recognize the boundaries you need to set for your own well-being. It's essential to maintain a balance between giving and receiving. Assert yourself when necessary and honor your own needs. Remember that patience doesn't equate to enduring mistreatment. And when I read this, it really touched my heart because so many people don't care about Mother Earth. So many people don't care about Gaia. And then you see all these storms and all of these catastrophic things that are happening. Unmanageable fires that just destroy like such a large part of Australia. And, the storms
Hawaii.
that we're hearing now and the fires in Hawaii. And, it really brought home this power to me, and how important it is for me personally to honor Gaia in any way that I can. And I think that when we work with the goddess, when a goddess chooses us, that you have this deep relationship that happens. And when Gaia is hurt, I feel her pain. And it's really sad, what has happened. And people just don't realize, how it's so important to honor our mother. And I will get off my soapbox before I start crying. And but I just wanted to put that out there for you all, because I think when you choose a goddess to work with, in a way, she becomes part of you, or if you choose a god, he becomes part of you. And to me, that's a good thing. Like I worked with Caradwin, but I did not have the closeness that I have with Gaia. And I think, that's a decision that everybody has to make as to who they want to work with, and who they're drawn to.
Tom, not necessarily made up. We don't know truly what is on the other side. They may be an archetype, they may or may not, but for some people, they are very real. They are very tangible. So I'm going to play the opposite that, like Tom and I usually do when we get up. But yes, it doesn't make them any less or more real, but we don't know. We won't know until we really do get to the other side. And I was starring some comments, but that was beautiful. Your connection with Gaia is just so profound. And anytime I come across or see anything on YouTube or somewhere that has to do with Gaia, I have to share it with Nancy, because I know that she would just love it. And Cassie, I don't know if you're still here, but she says, I think I'm in love with Nancy's background and top. So Cassie, if you're still here, it's just been a very busy chat and we've been talking. So I did share that.
Karen, I am protected. Archangel Michael has always protected me. And he's protected my family as well.
Yes.
So, but everybody has to believe what they believe. For a long time, I was raised in a Christian home by two very loving, godly parents. And, but for me now, nature is my church, and that's where I receive many, many blessings. And not to say that I have forgotten all the things that I learned in the church, but there's a new dimension. I'm proud to be a tree hugger.
There you go.
And one of my children is a tree hugger, and I'm so thankful. And he's going to be 39 tomorrow, my baby.
Stephen, happy birthday, Stephen.
Yeah.
So something that you had just said when you finished reading, I already kind of lost it because I was catching up with chat. But Tom says, "I'll tend to follow the signs for particular deities because I am assuming theirs is an aspect within me that is needing to focus on their attributes."
Mm-hmm.
And I love that, Tom.
Yes,
Or
yes,
whether within
exactly.
my praxis, I'm not sure the word praxis or otherwise. But yes, I love that. That can be that as well. As above, so below, as within, as without, so.
Well, I mean, that's what, I mean, really, when you think about it, what we're talking about is it's about faith.
Mm-hmm.
And faith in what you believe, whatever it is. I mean, I have never physically seen Archangel Michael. I have felt his presence many times, physically felt it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have the faith in believing that what I felt was Archangel Michael, you know, and I think it's the same way with whatever you believe, whether
Yes.
I mean, because a lot of our belief systems are about things that are unseen, and so that
Mm-hmm.
takes a certain amount of faith and devotion to follow what you believe, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. And Rochelle was sharing as well, so I have 3 starred by her. And I just love that you're here, Rochelle.
Yes.
Looking forward to when you can join Nancy. This is going to be a great conversation. So, yes, for me, it is also about embracing characteristics and energies of the gods or goddesses. I do think they are archetypes that became real through belief from the masses, like creating a tulpa. However, I do believe that we have stories of extraterrestrials that came to Earth and were thought to be gods, then procreated to create giants and hybrid beings that had special abilities and technologies. Yes, and for me, it's interesting. I do not feel comfortable in this lifetime because I've been told I've had other lifetimes on other planets, and I totally get that. But for some reason, on in this life, in this incarnation, I tend to push more away from other planetary, and I'm much more fixated on this plate on Earth being my home. You know, this is my planet. This is my place of origin, and it's very interesting. And Tom says, Amethyst, I agree on the tulpa idea. And Tom also said, Moonfox, I spent the large majority of my 30 plus years of practice not working with deities. It's not required. Um, but for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's given me, because I was raised Catholic. And a lot of people that I've met over the years that are pagan go, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, don't. Because being raised with a religion gave me a sense of identity, morality, a belief in a higher power than myself.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I'm very grateful for my parents giving me that type of grounding, that type of background to be able to make sure that support or foundation. I was looking for the right word. That foundation to be able to, as I got older, be able to start thinking for myself and start feeling what was correct for me. And Tom, why you zip? Don't zip. Come on now. We all know that we have differing opinions and ideas, and that's okay. We respect all of them here. And let's
Of
see.
course, of course.
And that's probably because you have, oh, this is me, has so many incarnations on Earth, and you're so connected to Mama Gaia. Old Soul comes to mind. Aw, thank you. I had a Akashic reading once with Scott's, not Scott Scorpio, but Scott Allen, Spiritual Essence, and that was very insightful about a few past lives. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you, Rochelle. I appreciate that. And I just wanted to share some pictures. I know Nancy's got actual book decks that have the Morrigan with her representation on them. I do not, but I was like, I do have the Hush Tarot, and the Hush Tarot includes a lot of beautiful crows and ravens. I also have the Tarot de Louis, which has female the tarot cards that look like women that could be of the Morrigan energy. And hi, David. I saw Bartholomew is Nancy's son, David. So hello, hello, hello. Um, Good to see you again. David. Um, Thank you for taking such good care of my mama here. I know we're not blood, mom. She's not my blood, but I consider Nancy a mama to me. And so thank you so much for looking after her and taking such good care of her. So thank you, David. So I wanted to share a few cards, and I know I'll let Nancy. But before we do all that, I know we are at the hour. I don't know if we're going to be getting to readings. Maybe Nancy and I can do a collective message from the Morrigan for everybody. But in my book, there's something another writing that she included called "Charge of the Morrigan." And the name is I don't know how to pronounce it. I've got to learn my Irish to honor my heritage, but that is her name right there. I think it's Merit Mahera. That might be correct. So this is how it goes. And be still and listen. Enchantment is my name. Hear my voice in the wind, the sea, the land. Reach out and embrace me, and I will speak. My familiar is the carrion crow, knower of the death, attendee of battles. I am the land, the moon, and the sea. I am the cow of fertility, the hunting wolf, and the eel of electricity. I am wise, sly, and daring. I am the queen, the oracle, the warrior, and the witch. I am the sorceress that will not be ruled, the weaver of time, the teacher of mysteries. I am kin to the Bav, or Bave, and Maxa, for together we are the sacred three. Come walk with me near the sea's kiss. Let me show you the old ways and your innate power. Come join me under the moonlight and learn the ways of the warrior and the queen. Let me show you all that's in between. My ways are dangerous and difficult, but my gifts are true and blessed. Swallow your fear and come to me, and you will discover true beauty, strength, and courage. Will you take the risks and learn my lessons, or will you hide from me and all I have to give you? Ponder now. What will you choose?
Mm.
And something I want to add about the early Celtic people, and that
That was
completely
beautiful.
surprised the Romans and any conquering, nations that came through when they fought with the Celts. The women were warriors right alongside the men. They said the women were there to share the bed with the men, and then the next moment they're side by side on the battlefield. And they said a lot of times the women were much more fiercer and fought harder than the men. Not putting the men down, but they said when recounts of battles and men just sometimes just frozen in fear by seeing the shriek, the screaming, the light, the frenzy in these. I mean, it's just you know. So pre-Christianity, these women fought beside their men. They died beside their men. They were allowed to own property. They were able to divorce and ask their dowry back if their husbands did not meet up to the marriage, like they didn't measure up in bed or pay or fulfill their duties. There was no such thing as divorce. They could come and go as they please. And so I'm very proud of that Celtic part of my heritage. And of course, again, though, when Christianity came in, um, you know it was frowned upon, and things of course were changed. But yeah, and it goes today that there's still some of that bias, in not that a lot of wars today are fought for the right I mean, there really isn't a right reason, but for them, the warring back in the day was to protect your house, your home, your village, your community. Resources were always, can possibly be scarce. So they thought, oh, they just love to war just to kill. No, you people really had to protect their territories, and you were responsible for protecting your land, your people, and women were right there too. So and yes, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned or pissed off. Oh my goodness, I wish I could do that where I'm at right now. But sometimes you just kind of gotta play the quiet, got to just kind of sit back. But women can be more protective, mothers. They have that innate mothering protection. Don't come between, a true mother and her child. Um, I have a grandniece who said that she'll die before anyone ever hurts her child, and she's fierce, and I love that in her. I really, really do. And uh, Nancy's son, yes, thank you for taking care of her. I'm just backing up a little bit, everybody in chat. And David, I don't live too far from Nancy. I'm in Spartan. Well, there you go. So we'll have to have a big pajama
there are
party.
A lot of people that live close to me actually.
And I was going to say, David's probably not here, but I just want to tell him amazing Star Wars videos with the seamless timing and the music and the connection. Just beautiful, beautiful. Brought me to tears.
Yeah, he's quite talented. He really is.
And Rochelle said, "Yep, I was just watching videos today of men and women going to great lengths to protect their children, and then sometimes you turn on the news and you see, men and women doing horrible things to their children, and I'm just like, how does somebody, I don't know. But then again, that's when you call the Morrigan, and you know, um, I probably everyone asked me if I could be a charmed one, which power would I have, and I'd be like, well, I would love proofs. I would want telekinesis, but you know what? The way I probably unfortunately would misuse the powers was the minute I see someone doing something wrong or doing something else, boom, I would use it. So I don't know if I would, you know. I mean, I wouldn't do it for wrong, but I think women or more feminine people are more caring, so that's why they fight and protect. But yeah, we have Tom in our in our chat too, and I know he loves his wife dearly and his two fur kitties, and I know he would go down and defend them. So it's just we need to. Yeah, I don't watch news. I can't exactly. It breaks my spirit. That's why I love my new circle, because even though I do love people from my former circles, a lot of the focus is on the politics and this and that, and I just cannot get in that energy because it just kills me, it drains me. And so yeah, I can't really do. I agree with you, Rochelle. I'm right there. And Shelby just said, I'm sitting by my big video in my living room, and the sunset is absolutely beautiful. Very nice. It's like having it's like having the blue wrench. Ooh, the power. Yeah. Use that power wisely. And yeah. Um, so let me just make sure I didn't miss any comments. Start. Okay. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I'm just going to go really quick and just share some of the cards that I pulled. And I want Nancy to show the beautiful images that she has of the Morrigan. So from my Hush Tarot, um, the Queen of Swords. There she is with her crow or her raven. Um, and, she's, the goddess of sexuality. Back in the day, the mythologies, to ensure that your people survived, your gods and goddesses had to have been able to have been perfect, being able to, be able to reproduce and to be fertile, to be able to help the people survive. And so sexuality, and sensuality was a big part too of most of the Celtic women and their gods and goddesses. And so we have the beautiful Queen of Swords from the Hush, um, the beautiful Queen of Wands. Love that. The Empress, of course, in Morrigan's aspect of possibly Anu is actually what Ireland is considered as, like Gaia. It's like the motherland, Anu. And so you have the Empress with the beautiful crow of wisdom, of magic, of intelligence, and then we have the Temperance card, and I just love her because she looks so very fey. So we have her there, and from my De Louis, I just love. To me, the Hermit card is the Morrigan. There she is with her red lantern. There's her staff. There's her crow with her, and there's the fires, the ground. Yeah, it's like her lighting the way, the light for the lost souls on the battlefield. Love is a battlefield. So had to put that in there. Get a little bit of sun in there. And then the Ace of Pentacles, kind of like what Nancy's doing with the feathers around her neck.
Yeah.
You know?
Aloha, Jonathan.
Aloha, Jonathan. How are you, my dear? And Sid is here. Hi, Sid. Thanks for being here. And even though it's not a crow on the death card, I did pull out the death card. This is an eagle, a Baldur eagle, but she is about, death. And so, yeah, I wanted to share that one too. All righty. So, Miss Nancy.
Well, a lot of the cards that I have are like Morgan Le Fay and Morgana. And what I wanted to show is this one is, let me see which day this is from. This is from the Goddess Power. This is a picture of the Morrigan. And on it says Death and Magic. And I have a new deck, the Goddess Oracle deck, that I haven't had very long. And it's the sweetest deck. I just really love it. And this Morrigan card says, with bravery and foresight, I shape my destiny. And I wanted to read to you what it says in the book about this. It's not very long, but I thought it was really, really good. Morrigan often appears as a crow or raven, symbols of change and guidance for warriors. Her ability to foresee and sway the outcome of battles makes her a significant figure. Morrigan represents the cycle of life and death, embodying transformation and prophecy. Her role highlights the power found in nature and the importance of embracing change. She not only influences warfare, but also reflects on the broader aspects of life and transition. And the ritual for her in this book says, Morrigan, the Celtic goddess of war and fate, represents the strength in facing life's battles. This ritual is about harnessing courage and shaping your future. Visualize a challenge as a battle that needs to be won. Stand tall, feeling the strength and foresight within. Affirm, like a warrior, I face my challenge with courage and shape my destiny. I love that. Mm-hmm. Long time ago, I ordered something from Sage Goddess, and this came, and this is a likeness of the Morrigan. It's a little tray. And I love this image of her. I think it's beautiful. And what I did was I have a deck that's called, I don't know if any of you have this. It's called Raven Cards. Does anyone have this deck? And it's kind of like the wisdom of a raven. And I randomly pulled a couple of cards. Well, transform your deep longing for security into a sense of belonging. You know, Raven is very wise.
Oh, God, yes.
Mark this to believe that anything may be kept.
Bye, Rochelle. Thank you for being here.
Is an illusion. Let it flow, let it go completely, and then start at the beginning again.
Wow. Let it
Take
flow. Let
some
it flow.
time to find a vantage point a little higher up where you can get a clearer picture of what's going on. Don't judge, just look and follow your own advice.
Okay.
I love that.
Follow your own
Follow your
advice.
own advice. Oh my gosh. If growing meant pulling, tugging, or extracting, it would be called pulling, tugging, or extracting. But it is called growing. And that means that it happens all by itself. If you let it do so, go sit back and let it grow. I love that.
Those are
It
cute. I like
happens
those.
when we don't even realize it.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. So Jay dropped by to say hello. Hello, Jay, my dear. Rochelle had to go. And Jonathan said, my favorite book on the Morrigan is The Book of the Great Queen. The Many
Ooh.
Faces of the Morrigan, from Ancient Legends to Modern Devotions by Morpheus Ravenna. It's one of the most thorough books. I'm sure Nancy's going to look that up.
Well, I just took a screenshot, Jonathan.
Jonathan made me do it.
Jonathan made me think about it. How about that?
There we go. Jonathan made me think about it. So you shared all the cards that you wanted to share of her?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
So we are at 6:19, and I think what Nancy and I will do is a collective message from the Morrigan. And something I want to point out too, and I think this is the perfect timing as well, is because we are in October. We are in that time where the veils are becoming thinnest, where we start honoring the dead, we start acknowledging our ancestors and the sacrifices that were made. I mean, if this is not the season for the Morrigan, I don't know which season would be. Um, like between now and the in the cold winter months, but really for Samhain, for All Hallows Eve, for Halloween, this is just I don't think this was a coincidence, this timing, for her to come through. So, and we just had the new moon, and now we're moving towards the full moon, and so it's still time in that energy where, if you want to start manifesting and working with her and bringing more of a connection with her, fuller, going towards the full moon, that would be probably a very inauspicious time to do that. And Jonathan, hello, Holly. Holly DeShane popped in. Hello, hello.
Hey, Holly.
And Tom and Jay having a little bit of fun. Hey, I kept back. I have a bunch of books on the Morrigan, but only mentioned one. Wow, how interesting, Jonathan. A broken clock is right twice a day, Jay. Okay. There we go. Things are changing. We have to stay on task. Yes, we do. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull a few, or unless you already had cards pulled.
Well, I just, I read those cards. I can, the Morrigan, this card of Death and Magic has a really wonderful message.
Okay.
Unless you just wanted me to.
It's whatever you felt. I thought that was a book or like a deck that you were sure. I didn't know that was your. But if you want that to be your reading, that's perfect too. I mean, it was a beautiful message. I'm just looking to see. Oh, we did get a little. I think that's a crow, or is that baby blackbird?
I really like the message of the Morrigan from the Goddess Power Deck.
Okay.
You want me to go ahead with that one while you choose your cards? This has a really lovely message. It's the empowerment message. Consider your life a magical gift and your experience of it a beautiful opportunity to leave the world a better place. You give that gift back when death comes and ends your time on this plane. Experiences, relationships, projects, And even long cherished dreams are all subject to the natural laws of death and the magic of the Celtic goddess Morrigan. Now is the time for you to let certain parts of your life die and recognize the process is something to celebrate as well as to mourn. Let go with love and gratitude. Leave your fears behind. For in death there is great magic, as nothing can ever be truly destroyed. From the ashes of the old, the new life and new dreams will come to be. Face this time of dying and death with love and courage. Be willing to be empty. Soon the goddess Morrigan will fill you up with magic, and a new world will be born for you. This is her gift for you when you surrender your resistance and allow things to be as they are. Now, I'm a crone, so statistically, this is going to happen to me before it happens to y'all, okay? And the way I look at death is it is my great adventure. Because one moment you're here and the next moment you're there. And I know that there is going to be absolutely incredible. I know this because I have the faith that it is. I believe that it is. And so, you know, I often say my parents taught me how to live. They also taught me how to die. And there's a lesson in that. I want to live to see my grandchildren doing well. I hope that I do. But if I don't, it's okay. And so I think that as you embrace life, you have to be willing to embrace the prospect of your eventual death. And that's my reading.
Wow. So Karen says, she inspires courage for me. Thank you for sharing. Jonathan says, the Morrigan is one of the patrons that has been around multiple lifetimes for me. I did not know that, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Karen, oh wow, that card is beautiful, Nancy. What a wonderful message. And Karen said also, I don't believe it's really death at all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love that we won't know what's there until we're there. The ultimate lesson in faith. And
Jonathan, I don't know if you remember, but after my husband passed, I asked you and Betsy to do a reading for me in one of your lives. And Betsy connected with my Ricky, and he said, "Oh boy, it's just so cool over here. I can't wait for you to see it. It's so wonderful. You just, oh my goodness, it's just," he was so excited. And that really blessed me because I feel like I will just actually, you know, they talk about going home, that is my home, that I have done this quite a few times. And I'm just wondering if I'm going to choose to come back or not. I might just stay up there.
I want to stay. It's like, no more. I'll be a spirit guide for somebody, but no more. I don't want to be here. So I kind of pulled a few. But I'll so from the Hush Tarot, I got the Four of Swords. What messages does the Morrigan have for us? And I love this because it's about the Four of Swords, taking time to rest, to dream, to sleep. And I love it's the swords. Dreaming it's about the communication, the wisdom, the knowledge, the strength that you have. Dream your dream your strength into reality. Um, it's that sword, that double-edged sword. It could be used for good. It could be used for ill. Here, it's for clarity and to tap into that beautiful connection, especially when we sleep and we rest. Because when we are rested, then we're able to move forward. And I got the Oh, he's so cute. I got the Knight of Pentacles and little blackbird, and he's got his little, his little thread, and so it's all about foundation. It's thoughtful, it's prepared, and it's all about with both hands you have built a sturdy foundation. And looking at the card, it looks like these could very well be, hands. It could be a dead body in the grass, and the bird sewed together the hands into a prayer form or a pose. But again, she's about death and rebirth. But there's that beautiful
Mhm.
key that is in the hand. So the key is building your foundations. Everything that you have planted and invested in is coming to fruition. And again, clarity of vision holds everything in order. Clarity of vision when you dream, lucid dream, those intentions. And from my witches, Lenormand, of course, I got the coffin. She's about death. So again, about death and rebirth, letting things go, going into your own sacred garden, going in within your own spiritual place where you will find absolutely nothing but treasure. You'll find the treasures within yourself. And from the lunatic Lenormand, because there's so many crows in it, I did get the baby card. Did get the child card. So again, allowing that inner child to feel safe and secure. Know that that beautiful luck. This is the supposed to be the clover card, and the clover also not just four leaves, but also looks like this as well. You got that beautiful clover, good luck, success moving forward, and then I have the crows making sure that we're at the mountain, but at the same time we're free to fly over them. There's no restriction. We have to open up that cage and not be afraid to fly. And there's her and her crows, and the overall energy is just being anchored, feeling safe, feeling secure, um, and being grounded in who you are. And she's also part of the sea. Mor is also a root word of the word sea. So Mor and the Rigan, which is the queen. So it's a sea queen. So when you break down the different aspects of her name, she's the goddess of the water and the land. So you'll find security, within yourself. She'll guide you, but you have to find that within yourself. You have to be not afraid. You can be afraid, but still do it anyways. Because they say if you don't feel afraid, then maybe it's not really worth doing. So if you feel that fear, but you still want to do it, um, open that cage. And it's so interesting. There's the cage, and there's the bird in this deck holding the key. Well, not the bird, but the hands holding the key. So I just love how the coffin card came
Beautiful,
out.
beautiful
So
cards.
yes, they all wanted to come out and play. It's been a while, they said, Heather. I haven't been doing as many shows, so it's like, oh, we all want to come out and do a reading. So, all righty. What did I miss? Um, I love that we don't know what's there until we're there. The ultimate lesson of faith. Oh, sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
so then Casper said it's like being born. So very cool.
Mhm.
Yes, wonderful. Let's see. We have nothing to worry about. It's the epiphany of love and exception. That's beautiful, Holly. That's
I
amazing
saw a
for
video
swords.
of a newborn baby on
Hi,
YouTube,
Laura. Mm-hmm.
and they were holding him up, and he was
Mm-hmm.
just so bewildered looking, and like, what in the world has happened to me? I was nice and cozy and
You're
warm,
warm.
and now there's bright lights, and I don't feel so good.
And all these, people yelling and
Yeah.
voices and Karen said she really came through in the cards. Amazing. Thank you both so much. You're welcome, my dear. So, yeah. I feel I've got some work to be done with her. So we're at 6:30. Miss Nancy, do you have any show? You've been a busy lady these past couple days. Are you going to be taking a
Yeah,
break
I
or?
have. It is so warm in here. I'm just
Ooh,
with my
just
feathers.
flipping.
But I have really enjoyed this. I really have,
Me
and I've
too.
enjoyed the chat, and I just love the participation.
Me
It's
too.
wonderful. It's wonderful.
Best chatters.
Yeah.
So nothing coming then else planned this week for you on your channel?
Let me look. I don't think I've got, let me see. Oh, well, I think on the 12th, Heather and I are going to join Ginger Faye for Rock and Tarot at 7 p.m. It's not completely, how's the flooding been? Well, the flooding was really something.
Mhm.
The cleanup is daunting. I mean, it's kind of never ending because my son's shop had 3 to 4 feet of mud in it, and they have worked since. Well, the flood was on Friday, and then a week ago, this past Saturday is when they started cleaning up, and they're not done yet. My David said he thinks it'll probably be until the first of the year until they can get everything cleaned out. It's just a mess, but we're all alive,
Yes.
and that's what the most important thing is.
Mm-hmm.
In the community, the people have been
Yeah.
just absolutely amazing. Um, I mean, people have brought cleaning products by, just and gave them to us out of the kindness of their hearts. I talked about the quilt that was brought to me yesterday, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody that was working got one. And people have stopped by. Somebody stopped by yesterday and gave my David a microwave and cleaning products. They asked him, "Do you need a
There's still good
microwave?"
people in this world.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And this
Mm-hmm.
afternoon, a man stopped and gave David $100, and David said, "I'm not going to take it. No, please, And he said, "Well, I'm going to put it here on your front porch, and you can either take it or let it blow away." So David took it and gave it to his brother to go towards trying to, rejuvenate his shop when it gets all cleaned up. But thank you for asking, and just
Yes.
just think about us and send love and light, because it's going to be a long haul.
Thank you, Jay.
And so many people in a lot of the areas, I mean, their homes were completely destroyed. There's still people that haven't been rescued yet. They're back in these hollers, and the roads have been destroyed. They've got helicopters going in trying to find them. I mean, it's a mess. It really is. And
Nothing like.
such devastation. That's very true, and you know that from personal experience too, don't you, Jonathan? From
Yeah,
what
with
happened.
Lahaina.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great to look at this whole ordeal in such a positive light. And there's things that, people are having to deal with because there's, bodies that need to be retrieved. There's
Mm-hmm.
chemicals in the water, there's sewage in the water, and these
Yeah.
people going in with having to keep
And
themselves clean and
and I mean,
protected.
there are some places where there's looting and stuff. I mean, all is
Mm-hmm.
not sunshine and light with the people. I mean, there's some people that have broken into storefronts,
Yes.
and when
Exactly, Jonathan.
people are hungry and don't have water, they will go to any means to take care of their family.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, even though it's wrong to loot, I can understand
Yeah,
on a certain level
I got to
how
feed my
people have
family.
to resort to that.
Mm-hmm.
My son-in-law brought huge flats of Walmart bottled water the Sunday after it happened, and gave it to everybody on the property. And I had a large stack of it that I could give to people when they needed it. And he brought a lot of like canned goods and peanut butter and stuff like that you didn't have to cook, but you would get protein.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that are working to really help, and it's going to be a long haul. And but we're up to the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for asking.
And
Yeah.
Moira would like to know, and this is a good thing because you do have to be careful of these people that are scamming for helping out because, unfortunately, there are those
I
kind of
I
people too.
honestly I
So,
honestly
any
don't
legit?
know.
Okay.
I know, people talk about the American Red Cross, and I'm sure they do really wonderful work. But I don't know how much of the money, would get,
Yeah, because there's board
get filled.
members now
Like
for the Red
I have
Cross.
a relative of my husband. She's 89, and she lives in middle North Carolina, and she has messaged me. She just wanted to do something. She wanted, what can I do? What can I do? And finally I thought about it, and I haven't been out driving because there's just, it's just confusing. And I told her, I said, could you just, if you have a few extra postage stamps, would you just please send me a few? I'm all out of stamps. That would really help me. Just some little something like that, But I honestly don't know of a place, that is legitimate. I mean, you could probably look online, because
Karen says, my mom lives 45 minutes from you, Nancy, at state line. She is still without power, and I have no way of talking to her. A friend saw her yesterday, and my brother took a generator there. It's just unbelievable.
It is. It's terrible. It's terrible.
And Jonathan, I like this. It's always best to donate to the people affected. Often the official channels of donation take way too long to process and often takes a big chunk of it. Yes.
I mean, if
find local grassroots organizations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate because now these places, like, I'm not knocking the things that they do, but places like Salvation Army, Red Cross, a lot of them, and even when it comes to like the Suman, like Run for a Cure, the Susan J. they all have board members, and monies that get raised, a lot of that money gets diverted to the board members, to their, whatever, and then the rest trickles down, whatever possibly makes it. So that's why if you know people or know a local organization, just shoot them off there.
I mean, it's like my son-in-law, he brought all the food, and then, if somebody was running out of water, we gave them a flat of water. I mean, because you don't want to give it to somebody that's hoarding. You want to give it to somebody that's thirsty.
Yeah.
And there is, the grocery stores now, I mean, they limit you to what you can buy. You can't go in and buy out all the water, but
somebody did here in Niagara Falls. Shannon and I went to go get some jugs of water for the house because we can't drink our local water here, and everything was gone. All this distilled, all the spring, all the drinking, and we don't know if some of those shipments are being redirected, down to the south to help you guys out, or if people are coming here buying it all out to help bring down to. So it's just like it's very serious,
Well, the other night, we heard that the First Methodist Church had some guys, some hunters, some good old boys from South Carolina came up here, and they went to the First Methodist Church, and they brought all kinds of pork chops, shredded pork, venison, all kinds of frozen meat that they had gotten through hunting. And they prepared meals. And my son, David, went to get a meal for each of us, and they gave us 4 so that we had 2 meals. And it had shredded pork chops, Cajun rice that had the andouille sausage and chicken in it, baked beans, a piece of bread, and the most delicious green beans I had ever tasted. So there's a lot of that going on with the different churches. Nice. So, and what's nice is the churches are doing what the churches should always be doing, is taking care of the needy, instead of expecting the government to do it.
And this is awful. Jonathan says, I've just been watching what's happening to the people from Lahaina, and the local organizations are doing the heavy lifting while the officials are mostly harassing the survivors. So local community is what helps.
The thing about it is, like when I was talking about the Red Cross, when you look at these big organizations, And you think about the money that people give, and then you look that the CEO is making like $500,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there's all these really high paying salaries, and maybe that's needed. But to me, you know, like if I give my money to the Red Cross, I want it to go to somebody that's in need.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to go towards somebody's salary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe that's, you know, maybe my thinking is wrong, you know, but like if I donate to a disaster fund, I want it to go to the people that are experiencing the disaster,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Tom
not the
said,
people that are working on it, you know.
and Tom said, I stopped donating to the Red Cross when I saw one of the local ones here had a brand new BMW they were driving around in. I'm sure it was
Yeah.
donated, but sell it and take the funds for things that help.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear you. Please never rely on the government for anything. They are not here to help us.
Yeah.
And YouTube, this is for entertainment purposes only. I'll just throw out there, Ange, you're totally right. But
Yeah.
you know,
Right. Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
But
You know, I mean,
look after
because, you
yourself
know,
and
we
each
certainly
other.
don't want to offend anybody,
Yeah,
but,
well, everybody.
but it's beautiful. And I will tell you this, because I think this is absolutely amazing. The couple that my son said, the couple that gave the microwave to my son, and he told them, he said, when they offered it to him, he said, well, my microwave was not destroyed in the flood. He said, a corn dog caught on fire in my microwave and blew out the whatever. And they said, just take the microwave. And then the
Oh,
man
goodness.
said, looked back and he said, boy, it looks like that woodwork, because he could tell about the woodworking. You know, Stephen's woodworking shop has been in the newspaper a lot, you know, because of the generational things with the shop, my husband and my husband's father. And he said, it looks like he lost a lot of woodworking equipment. And David said, yes, sir, he did. And he said, well, you know, they were about my age, David said. And he said, you know, and he said they were very affluent, you know. And they said, you know, we don't have any children and we can't take it with us. So take my card. And when your son is all cleaned up, have him call me and I'll help him get back on his feet.
That's beautiful. They're still
Isn't
good
it?
people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
they
mean,
didn't ask you
it's
what
just,
your political stance was. They didn't ask you
and
what
you know,
they just
the
they're
thing
the
about
help.
it is, you
I love
know,
that.
setting intentions, like, you know, I have said, you know, something good will come from this. Something good has got to come from this. I don't know what it is, but, and I'm thinking, well, it's how wonderful the people are being, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, sometimes good things happen from the ashes of tragedy. I mean, and I'm hoping that somehow,
Phoenix from the fire.
yeah, yeah.
And Ange says we all need to go back to bartering and helping one another. Hearing about the generosity of the people in Nancy's community literally brings tears to my eyes. Compassion and kindness in action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because we sure as hell can't rely on the government.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what side. It's in the end, they're all
Yeah.
pretty much, except for a select few that do try to make a difference. Some really,
Mm-hmm.
really try, but most of them, it's all about being in it for themselves. And you know, it's just we
Well,
have to stand together. The people,
you know, I've talked
we the
about my
people.
son and his Halloween party. He has got a huge 25-foot Michael Myers up in his yard, and he wanted to put it up on October 1st. And he wanted me to paint a sign that said WNC, Western North Carolina, proud. And so I did. Or Western North Carolina strong.
There we go.
That's his house. This is Michael Myers. And Michael Myers lights up at night. And you would not believe the people who have stopped by and taken pictures And this newspaper lady jumped out of her car and left it in the middle of the road, you know, wanting to interview him. And the community is just, you know, the children are pointing at it when they go by with big
They
smiles
don't
on
scare
their
them.
face.
The big
And everybody is saying, you know, oh, it gives us something to look forward to. Halloween has not been canceled. We have something to look forward to, you know, and everybody loves it. And every day he's putting more and more decorations out. And it's really, you know, it makes me happy because it's making other people happy, you know.
Yeah, that's nice. For me, I'd be like, ooh, blood. But yeah, for kids, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, ooh, we're not going to go down. We got Myers on our side.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
But
Ange
anyhow.
says, I love that.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. You
Yes.
know, it's
all the prayers and the support is very
yes,
much appreciated.
Yes, it does. It means a lot.
And so Friday I have a show with Allison, and there may be a TTT tomorrow. We're not quite sure yet. There was a little scuffle again with Rain and her beautiful little hooligans. So
Oh dear.
we don't know if, you know, she's going to be able to do the show, but stay tuned. And if she has to cancel,
Oh well,
she'll let us
not.
know.
Yeah, I hope she can.
But
yeah,
until Friday, yeah, I might do a pop-up. But everybody, have a great start to your week.
yeah, and thank you for
Yes.
joining us. And
Yes.
I just have learned a lot
Yeah.
about the Morrigan. I love this.
Me too. And Ange, a lot of us don't have the finances, so there's nothing wrong with sending love and strength. You know.
That's what matters. That's what matters.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Just that kind and compassion. So, all righty, everybody, have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on
Okay.
the
Bye
next
bye,
show.
everybody.
Mwah.
Love
Bye.
you.